Fantastic. If you have just joined us today, this is Franchising Brand Stories, and today we are talking to the wonderful Dan Archer from Visiting Angels. And Franchising Brand Stories is brought to you by FranRec, the executive and staff recruiters for the UK's franchise industry. Again, if you have just joined us today, there's a QR code on the screen that will take you to this episode, and you can rewatch it or watch it from the beginning if you've missed the start. I want to ask a question, and it's my favorite question to ask. You know, you've got a great deal of franchisees, and also you're in a business where you make a difference to three different levels of people. You make the difference to the franchisee with the business that they've got. You make the difference to the caregivers, and you make the difference to the people who receive the care. And in amongst that, you must have really changed some people's lives on multiple occasions. And I'm sure there are hundreds, if not thousands, of stories. But do any stick out in your mind over that period of time?
We did my first ever solo assessment when I was piloting the business. This is a story to tell. So we got our registration with the Care Quality Commission, and we grew relatively quickly. And in our third or fourth month of operation, we had something like 9 new clients in a single month. And my registered care manager was going around the place and doing assessments and writing care plans. But we had a point where we both needed to be out on assessment simultaneously. So I went to go and do my first solo assessment to a lady called Betty, who lived in South Sheffield. And I thought I did a decent job of the assessment. My manager told me it was probably the worst assessment she'd ever made, and gave me lots of points of improvement. And I kind of, I got better as we went along, basically. But the thing with Betty was her daughter lived in Manchester and Betty lived in Sheffield. And she'd not left the house for 18 months. She had vascular dementia. She had a stroke. She had vascular dementia. And we're in Sheffield, which means all of the roads are like this, and the roads next to them are like this. And you sort of need clamp-ons to get to the end of the street, So she wasn't leaving the house because she was worried about falling. And her daughter lived in Manchester, and their only way of communicating was by the post. So they used to send each other letters, but she couldn't get to the post box. So the inquiry that we took was, could you possibly spend 2 hours with my mum on a Sunday afternoon and take her to the post box, and so she can write a letter to me so I know how she's getting on? No problem at all. I assessed that case. We did that case, no problem at all. As part of that assessment process, there was a cleaner that was coming in. The cleaner was doing maybe 3 or 4 days a week of cleaning. Now, the house wasn't that dirty. It didn't need 3 or 4 days a week of cleaning. The cleaner was, in essence, doing a little bit more than cleaning. Mm-hmm. And once we turned up as the professional care company, the cleaner just disappeared very quickly, right? So they'd gone. And now the daughter's saying to me, can you guys come in maybe 4 days a week? And that became 5 days a week. And we went from a lady that had not left the house for 18 months to getting her on a Sunday to pop up to the post box to post a letter, to then enabling her to go to the Botanical Gardens in Sheffield, to taking her to the theatre, to enabling her to go to Meadowhall in Sheffield, which is a big shopping centre, to go to Marks and Spencer's, to buy a posh sandwich, because that is a thing, and so all of these things that she sort of got her life back, and so that was amazing, right? And I think then, our franchisees sort of see that on a daily basis. People talk about care, and people very often talk about essential care, and that's very much about helping people out of bed and helping people with medication and helping people with nutrition, and all of those things are very important. But actually, the thing that we try to do as a home care business is give people independence, and that means trying to give them their life back, right? And there's probably nothing more satisfying in actual fact than having that level of impact on another human being's life, to positively impact the life of your carers to a point whereby they are able to help a client to rediscover a passion they had 20 years ago.
Absolutely. And